I'm Damiano from Italy. It is a real pleasure for me to take part in this European Congress. Even if only online, this Congress I think is the proof that we are stronger than pandemic and that science never stops. In this particular period, ultrasound has represented a valid way to make a diagnosis in our patient affected by COVID-19, and ultrasound has proven to be an ally, an important ally for the physician all over the world. So we realize the importance of ultrasound in this emergency period. But now the time is going. It's for me a big pleasure. I'm very proud to introduce this study about the effects of diet and nutraceuticals on patients with metabolic syndrome and liver steatosis. We know that between these two aspects, the metabolic syndrome and the liver steatosis, there is an interconnection, a sort of vicious circle, we can say, because the metabolic syndrome feeds the fatty liver disease, which in turn is a part of metabolic syndrome, as we can see in this slide. And fatty liver disease is actually a spectrum multiple disease with a possible progression to liver fibrosis. Fibrosis is the most worrying phase and is the result of a network of cytokine activation that also involves the immune system and the adipose tissue. And in this context, ultrasound represents a fundamental imaging tool in the study of liver steatosis. Maybe only MRI can have a comparable diagnostic accuracy, but we know with all the limits of a second level imaging technique. And at the same time, the elastography represents a useful way to evaluate the liver stiffness, and so in particular share wave elastography that we used in our university in Italy. And so we had the idea to perform liver elastography in patients with metabolic syndrome and fatty liver disease, looking for variation in liver stiffness after diet and change of lifestyle, with also an evaluation of liver steatosis on B-mode ultrasound and variation of laboratory exams. So we considered a cohort of 63 patients. We excluded 45 patients who had other causes of liver chronic disease, and we studied 18 patients with fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, diagnosed according to the criteria of International Diabetes Federation. These patients were divided into three groups. The patient of group 1 followed a diet and exercised moderately. Patient of group 2 and group 3 received in addition to change of lifestyle some nutraceuticals, as you can see in this slide. The patient characteristics, the characteristics of the patient were between 40 and 63 years old, were those of having an high BMI, a significant circumference of neck, waist and hips, significant visceral adipose tissue, but also blood pressure values at the upper limits of the norm. So we evaluated laboratory markers, steatosis through ultrasound B-mode and stiffness through elastography, and the results were not significantly different between the three groups I described before. So we therefore considered the 18 patients as a unique whole, and found that after 4 months of treatment they had a significant reduction in weight and BMI, significant reduction in circumferences, in visceral adipose tissue and in the blood pressure parameters, but also they had an improvement of laboratory parameters such as the total cholesterol, the LDL, glycemia, and the insulin resistance index. But the most important part is that we found a reduction independently from the group of the patient, reduction in liver stiffness, in the degree of hepatic steatosis with B-mode evaluation, and even a reduction in liver size, as you can see in this table, but also in these figures presented in the slide. So that's the most important characterizing part of our study, and we think that in the future we can establish a role of screening and follow-up for patients with metabolic syndrome and fatty liver disease. Ultrasound and elastography can be useful techniques to manage this patient, and to follow up this patient, to understand if they are improving from a metabolically point of view. But also we think that we need to codify a scale of stiffness values associated to histological grading in metabolic liver disease, as we have for hepatitis C, for example. Thank you for your attention, but at the end of this presentation I would like to thank all the colleagues who have been involved with me on the coronavirus front. It was a touching experience from a professional but also from a human point of view. We didn't think we could do it, I'm honest, because the pandemic came like a tsunami in Italy, but we did our best and made all our expertise available, including the use of ultrasound that was very precious. And so thank you all, never give up, and greetings from Italy. Thank you.